Welcome to the channel, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, we're checking out the Panasonic 25-50mm DG Vario Summilux constant f1.7 aperture lens for micro four thirds. It's a big name and it's a big lens. Let's get into it. Before we get started, a massive thank you to Panasonic for the loan of this lens. I don't get to keep it, nor am I being paid to make this video, so all thoughts about this will be my own. I'll give you my thoughts about it at the end of this video. This particular video will focus mostly on video shooters. I'm going to be using this with the Panasonic GH5, GH5S, and the Panasonic GH5 MK II, all of which I purchased. In full frame terms, this lens is a 50mm to 100mm f3.4. Now, while f3.4 might not be as fast as some of the constant 2.8 zooms for full frame, when it comes to micro four thirds, this is as fast as it gets, and it performs really well. This f1.7 lens allows you to get great low light performance and also getting great background separation and bokeh. Let's take a look at some sample footage filmed with the Panasonic GH5 MK II using this 25-50mm f1.7 zoom lens. I had autofocus enabled in face detection mode. I was shooting at 50 frames per second in VlogL, so all of the footage is graded. I had no problems achieving subject separation from the background. Let's take a look. There's a few things that really sets this apart in the micro four thirds world. The first being that we get a declicked aperture ring and we can also set it to automatic. This is great for smooth transitions from lighter scenarios through to darker scenarios. It's nice and smooth to touch, but it also has a good amount of tension. We also get a focus clutch as well, which locks the camera into manual focus, and we get good representations of where we're at in the focal range. Now, there's two things about this lens to take into consideration. There's no button to turn the declicked aperture to clicked, so it's always like this. If you're a photographer, set it to automatic and then use the wheel on the back of the camera. Now, if you do decide to use the focus clutch, just know that there's no hard stops on either side. It's a little bit of a shame, but a lot of lenses are like this, especially from Sigma and other Panasonic ones. One of the things I love about this lens is the tension on the zoom ring is perfect. Well done, Panasonic. The build quality of the 25-50 is solid. The lens is splash proof, dust proof, and freeze proof, which allows it to work great just about anywhere. While this is a large lens, it weighs only 744 grams, and if you take the lens hood off, it drops it down to 688. The GH5 itself weighs only 690 grams, so you're kind of doubling the overall weight. The GH5 MK II is slightly heavier than the GH5, and it's also quite a bit heavier than the GH5S, so just keep that in mind. In terms of balance, it feels really great in the hand. And there seems to be some confusion online whether or not this lens is actually Parfocal or not. Richard Wong and DP Review got vastly different results in their testing, And after talking to Panasonic, they think that that was because both lenses had different pre-production firmware in it. What I can tell you after talking with Panasonic is this lens is what they call Varifocal, which allows the elements to be controlled electronically, giving it the appearance of it being parfocal. The end result is pretty much the same, but it's done in a different way. If you're on the fence deciding between the 10-25 and the 25-50, I'd look at it like this. If you're on your own doing solo content creation work like this, where you're just addressing the camera, get the 10-25. It'll allow you to keep the camera in arm's reach, which is something that I always like anytime I'm doing one of these type of videos. The 25-50mm is best suited if you're behind the camera and you have a bit more distance between you and the subject, and it also gives you really great background compression anywhere beyond 25mm. So at 35mm it looks beautiful, at 50 it also looks extremely nice. And now let's talk about the all-important autofocus performance. So without question, the best autofocus performance from all of my tests came from the GH5S and the GH5 Mark II. Face detection mode worked great on both cameras with very minimal pulsing in the background, and at any focal length it worked extremely well. When it came to the GH5, however, though, face detection mode wasn't great. I found myself using one area mode, which is where you set that box up over yourself and then you're good to go, and that worked fine. I would say the one area mode on the GH5 is almost very comparable to that of the GH5S face tracking now. The GH5S got a firmware upgrade recently, making it really reliable when it came to face detection. It's still not Sony or Canon good, for example, but it's far better than it's been, and with this 25-50mm lens, it worked really well. All of the autofocus tests that you're looking at right now was shot using face detection with standard settings. My favorite results might have been with the GH5S. There's something really nice about that 1.8 times crop and the image straight out of camera. It looks beautiful, whether you're shooting in Vlog or natural profile or Cine V or Cine D. You're going to get great results. The subject separation looks good and there's no pulsing. While I did find face detection to be awesome on this lens on the most part, one of the problems it has though is when it comes to focusing at the minimum distance. It really struggled, especially trying to shoot some leaves on some branches, for example. If you're going to be doing any type of that work, again, you want to be going into manual focus because it just doesn't know what to focus on at a close distance. And I tested this over and over again. Even using the selfie screen to touch on focus areas, it can really struggle at the minimum focus distance. When we're using this lens though, on the Panasonic GH5 Mark II, one of the new options is setting the linear focus mode, which allows you to get repeatable and reliable focus pulls. If you are planning on investing in micro four thirds as of right now, I think this lens would be best suited with the GH5 Mark II. When it comes to focus breathing, this lens performs extremely well, giving you very little focus breathing, which is perfect for video use. This means if you're going from infinity to its minimum focus distance, there doesn't appear to be any noticeable zooming. When it comes to getting that beautiful bokeh in the background, stop it down to f1.7 and you'll get nice cylindrical bokeh. My test results with video looked superb down to about f4, and then it started getting a bit more of an hexagonal look to it. For nice round bokeh, set the lens anywhere between f1.7 and 2.8. Let's wrap this video up by talking about my user experience with this when it comes to video and also photography, because I did take some photos with this and the linear focus motors make taking photos extremely easy. The focus is nice and snappy and responsive. Even in burst photography mode, it did an extremely good job capturing Rhiannon's face. It only missed a couple out of many shots. So I went crazy with this in burst photo mode and it did a really great job. Now, if sharpness is your thing for photography, you'll get a kick out of this. Shooting at either f1.7 or 2.8 gave me really great results, both in the center and out towards the edges. Additionally, I couldn't notice any issues with flaring or chromatic aberration. I don't pixel peep on a lot of stuff, but just looking at the footage, it all looks nice and clean. When it came to video autofocus performance, again, I think it's best suited in face detection mode. If you're on the original GH5, use one area mode for the best results, but on a GH5S, it looks spectacular, and on the GH5 Mark II, it also performed really well, with the exception of close focus distance. That's where I think it struggled the most. Maybe the biggest consideration when it comes to the 25-50 is size. Can you live with the size of this lens? Even just picking it up, it's far larger than the kit lens for the Panasonic S5 in the hand. The barrel is smaller on this camera, and overall this is far lighter. So you have to ask yourself the question, are you okay to carry such a large lens? And after using it for about 30 minutes, it does get a little bit tiresome. So if I'm traveling overseas at some particular point in the future, This lens wouldn't be high on my list of travel options, but if I'm producing videos locally and I want the best image quality for Micro Four Thirds, this would be high on the list. The only real downside to this is the Panasonic autofocus still isn't perfect, but I think paired with the newer cameras, it works extremely well. And for GH5 users, one area mode works really well, and in photography mode with the linear focus motors, it did a really great job. So other than the price and the size, this will appeal to a lot of people. And if you already have the 10-25, this would be a no-brainer, and then you can sell the rest of your lenses. A massive thank you to Panasonic for the loan of this. I really appreciate it. If you want to find out more about it, links to this lens will be in the description below. They help support the channel at no extra cost to you. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. I appreciate that. I'll catch you on the next video. See ya.